Welcome to The Explainer. I am so incredibly excited you're here because today we are diving into an absolute masterclass on nouns. We're going to skip the boring stuff and go straight from some truly bizarre trivia all the way to real-world practical fluency. The kind of stuff you'll actually use at the grocery store, in the office, and, well, pretty much everywhere in between. Let's jump right in. Okay, I want to hook you right out of the gate with this number, 189,773. Any guesses what that means? Well, according to researchers, the longest English noun is the chemical composition of Titan, and that word has exactly 189,773 letters. It's literally so massive it isn't even in most standard dictionaries, mostly because it takes over 2 hours just to say it out loud. Seriously, imagine trying to drop that into a casual conversation. So, if that behemoth is the longest, what do you think is the most common noun? Well, the Oxford English Corpus actually analyzed over 2.5 billion words, and they found that the most common noun used in written English is time. And honestly, when you think about it, it makes perfect sense, right? Every single human story we tell, our daily communication, how we plan our lives, it all completely revolves around time. So, here's our game plan for today's syllabus. We'll hit fun facts and basics, common versus proper nouns, understanding collective nouns, avoiding uncountable noun traps, nouns for grocery shopping, and finally, nouns in the workplace. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, Fun Facts and Basics. You know, the word noun itself comes from the Latin word nomen, which literally just means name, which makes total sense, since a noun is basically naming something in our reality. But I really want to break that old person, place, or thing stereotype we all got drilled into our heads in elementary school. The absolutely crucial thing to remember is that abstract ideas are nouns too. Words expressing concepts like freedom, time, or information are 100% nouns. Now, a quick heads up here, words like my or the are determiners. They are not nouns. They just help specify the noun. Oh, and my absolute favorite fun fact? Ghost words. So a word like dord, D-O-R-D, was created by a pure accident by a dictionary compiler, and it actually lived as a completely fake noun in the dictionary for years. Crazy, right? Moving right along to Section 2, common versus proper nouns. Okay, take the word stadium. It gets a lowercase letter because it's a common noun. I mean, it could literally be any stadium anywhere in the world. But the second we say York Stadium, we're pinpointing a very specific place. It transforms into a proper noun. And bam, it always gets a capital letter. Let's reinforce that capitalization rule with another rapid-fire example. A general object, like a computer, is a common noun. But when you name a highly specific model, let's say a Platinum 10, it transforms into a capitalized proper noun. You always want to keep your eye out for those capital letters. They're your dead giveaway for sure. All right, next up, Section 3, understanding collective nouns. Real quick, before we dive into how these groups work, I definitely want to credit the fantastic source material from Virtually Fluent. Their curriculum provides the foundation for the essential grouping mechanisms we're about to explore. So, we can logically categorize these group names into animals, people, and objects. For animals, you might spot a flock of birds or a pack of canines. When it comes to people, we group singers into a choir and workers into a crew. And for inanimate objects, well, we gather bananas in a bunch or matching items in a set. Categorizing them into buckets like this just makes the whole shebang so much easier to remember. Now for Section 4, avoiding uncountable noun traps. Let's define this concept super clearly because it trips up a lot of people. Uncountable nouns are substances, ideas, or mass items that you simply cannot count as individual units. Because of that, they typically have no plural form at all. The really important takeaway here is that words like scenery, luggage, furniture, and bread are always used in the singular. I mean, you'd never say you're carrying 3 luggages, right? It just sounds off. Let's walk through some really common wrong versus right patterns. The golden rule, you cannot put a or an in front of an uncountable noun. It is definitely incorrect to say, I need a water. Instead, just drop the a and say, I need water. Or if you want to be specific, add a measure phrase like, I need a bottle of water. It's the exact same deal with advice. Don't say an advice. It's some advice or a piece of advice. Honestly, it's amazing how just dropping that tiny little a or an instantly levels up your fluency. Now, there is a totally fascinating exception to our rules here. Expressions describing groups of people like the poor, the blind, or the unemployed are actually always plural. But they don't need an S at the end. You don't say the poors, you just say the poor, and the grammar automatically treats it as a plural group. It's just one of those fantastic little quirks of the English language. Okay, let's shift gears to Section 5, Nouns for grocery shopping. To navigate the aisles efficiently and actually save some money, you need to decode store signs. The produce section is your go-to for fresh fruits and vegetables. The express checkout, that's specifically for shoppers with 10 items or fewer. Now, if you see BOGO, B-O-G-O, that's a super handy acronym noun meaning buy one, get one free. And clearance just means lower prices to clear out sale items. Knowing these specific nouns makes your grocery run an absolute breeze. And when you actually need to speak to the staff, here are some exact polite phrases using measure words to ask for specific quantities with total confidence. You could say, "I'd like a kilo of apples, please." Or maybe, "Can I get half a dozen eggs?" You see how we use a kilo and half a dozen to measure out those nouns? It makes your communication incredibly precise.
Finally, we've arrived at Section 6, Nouns in the Workplace.
Let me introduce you to Emily. So first, Emily gets laid off during a company downsizing. Rough, I know. But then she receives a severance package that includes her salary and health insurance. Finally, she takes a bold risk and starts her very own cleaning business. Now, every single one of those highlighted words is an absolutely critical professional noun. Let's use Emily's financial situation to explicitly define some terminology that every professional really needs to grasp. Emily has assets. These are things of actual value, like her car, furniture, and savings. But she also has liabilities, which is money she owes, like a mortgage or credit card debt. Now, if you take her assets and subtract those liabilities, you get her net worth. She also earns dividends from stock profits, and trust me, she definitely knows the difference between her gross pay before taxes and her net pay after all those deductions. So Emily does the smart thing and talks to her professional. Her financial advisor tells her that she should invest her money in her business and in some bonds. This perfectly shows exactly how Emily successfully applies financial advice to secure her future using these precise nouns. She's literally turning her severance package and dividends into business investments and bonds. A real game changer for her. And just like that, we've reached the end of our explainer. We've gone everywhere from the longest words in the dictionary, straight to the grocery store, and finally into managing your net worth. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Now that you've mastered the foundational building blocks of language, what kind of story are you going to build with your nouns? Take this vocabulary out into the real world, speak with absolute confidence, and make your words count. Thank you so much for hanging out with me to explore this source material, and hey, keep learning.